In 2005, Dr. Osamu Kato initiated a registry for a study on the experimental treatment method targeting 300 cases. And with this experience, he gave the first lecture on the retrograde approach at CCT in 2006. This was attended by numerous United States and European physicians, and it was the starting point for its global expansion. On the basis of his experience with CTO treatment using a retrograde approach, Dr. Osamu Kato considered that for this treatment method to become widespread, such devices are needed: a channel dilator, later Corsair, a catching device, and an exclusive use guide wire that passes through collateral channels, later Fielder XT. At several conferences, he expressed the need for development of such devices. Dr. Osamu Kato requested Asahi Intech to develop a channel dilator, which was later Corsair. In 2006, following the request of improving Fielder to achieve a better retrograde approach success rate, Fielder FC was launched as a product in which tractability is prioritized, together with tip flexibility and high supportability. After the launch of Fielder FC, it was used for the retrograde approach via collateral channels. After the launch of Fielder FC, the technique for passing through the collateral channel was improved, and progress was made with the spread of CTO treatment using the retrograde approach. At the same time, Dr. Etsuo Tsuchikane started a registry for a study similar to that of Dr. Osamu Kato, and on the basis of both registries, it was confirmed that the retrograde approach markedly improved the CTO treatment success rate to at least 95%. They collaboratively published the pioneering trial results on the retrograde approach. In January 2007, the founding meeting of the EURO CTO Club was held, with Dr. Nicholas Reifert as the promoter, and Dr. Osamu Kato and Dr. Hideo Tamae were invited. At that meeting, Dr. Osamu Kato performed a case using a prototype channel dilator, later to become the Corsair, at a live demonstration. By 2007, the retrograde approach as a technique was nearly fully established, and we had reached certain conclusions on how to use this methodology effectively. About the channel dilator, it was just at New Year in 2007, I think, when the EURO CTO Club held its founding meeting in Hamburg, Germany. Dr. Tamae and I were asked to go because they wanted to do a live demonstration. The EURO CTO Club was founded by Dr. Nicholas Reifert, and the two of us were asked to go and perform the procedure. The channel dilator arrived just in time. We brought it with us and performed the technique using the channel dilator. As I mentioned, the technique itself was extremely complicated prior to 2007, before we had an actual channel dilator. There were all sorts of problems. The catheter had to be repeatedly inserted and removed. Multiple wires had to be used. While moving the catheter into the channel, the coating would come off and the catheter would stop moving altogether. But just by being able to use the Corsair, most of these problems were solved in one fell swoop. With the Corsair, we felt like it was solid enough to be used as a technique by physicians around the world. It was brought to market around 2010. That was the background, and we wanted this technique with the device to be widely used not only in Japan, but also in Europe and the US, so we worked very hard to introduce it. In 2007, the EURO CTO Club was established. At that time, with the spread of retrograde approach and DES, PCI treatment to CTOs were socially recognized and became widely accepted in the world. Asahi Intech received from Dr. Osamu Kato a request for development of a polymer-coated guide wire for exclusive use in channel tracking, and that can be manipulated in fine blood vessels and tortuous collateral channels previously impossible to access. Asahi Intech then developed the PCI guide wire Fielder XT, making use of proprietary technology. The launch of Fielder XT established the concept of crossing microchannels using thin wires with high lubricity. This is a wire that can pass through even narrow channels, that is Fielder XT, and Asahi Intech made this type of wire for us. This was the second wire for the retrograde approach. In fact, the Fielder XT wire has played an extremely important role ever since. Fielder XT has a very low tip load, so it is not a CTO wire, it's a soft wire for channel tracking. However, Japanese physicians started using the Fielder XT for CTO, and it actually did a good job of passing through. There was a lot of talk at the time about how a wire with such a low tip load could pass through a CTO site. This is what led to the development of today's CTO wires Gaia and Gaia Next. The wires developed for the retrograde approach taught us this.